opera with an... I need to read that again. We're back with an all-new show next week when it's our Halloween Spooktacular. Plus, you get...
all-new show next week with what?
What would I say?
You said annual Halloween. You did not say annual. You said annual.
I cannot speak today. Okay, one more time.
On the Dallas Opera Network, you're listening to Opera Box Score.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Wherever you are, however you're listening, it's America's talk radio show about opera. It's Opera Box Score. I'm your host, Weston Williams, joined by Oliver Camacho, which is really all you need. All right, this week, fall is for falling in love. And Oliver's just barely containing himself when he goes inside the huddle with dreamy tenor Charles Castronovo. Oliver doesn't remember a thing they talked about in this interview, so you'll just have to listen along with us to find out. And in the 2-minute drill, a secret relationship with your girlfriend's sister. Then the three of you plot to kill their mother. It's not a Verismo opera, it's real life, and the villain is a countertenor. If you're watching via TDO, subscribe to our podcast on Stitcher, or just favorite our show on Apple Podcasts. And with that, Oliver, how's it going?
Folks, today is Monday, October 18th, and we just got news as we were putting the show together that the legendary Aditi Gugurova has passed away at the age of 74. We obviously would have dropped everything we were doing and done a tribute to her if there was enough time. And we've already planned our Halloween show. So we will be doing our proper tribute to Aditi Gugurova on November, what day would that be? November 3rd?
That sounds right.
On the episode of November 3rd.
We'll find
so
out.
we are acknowledging that this happened. This is a huge, huge deal to us.
Yeah.
And so thank you for your patience, and we wish Aditi Gugurova's family peace, and we're so sorry for your loss.
In sports news, I have none, but luckily Ashlee wrote in to give me something to read, so I'll just kind of struggle through here. Ed Orgeron, who is the head coach at LSU, this is the one we talked about in the last listener mailbag a while back, if you remember that. He is out after a poor performance and ignoring sexual harassment claims, which is not what we like to see. And honestly, good on LSU for, pushing him out. What if we did that to certain general directors in opera who might have known things about sexual harassment, not done anything about them? I'm not going to say any more than that. But
wasn't the Raiders coach also fired for homophobic tweets or something?
Oh, probably.
Okay.
I missed that story, if that's true.
In other sports news, British tennis player Cameron Norrie has reached a career-high singles ranking of number 15 in the world after defeating the Georgian Nikolosh Basilashvili in yesterday's Indian Wells Masters men's final. And Spanish-American player Paula Badosa also reached her career high of number 13, defeating Victoria Azarenka in the women's final of Indian Wells. No disrespect, but if you're like me, you're like, who? Why do the top players lose form or just not give a poop when it comes to these last tournaments of the season? His season has been a mess, and this last major Masters final is sort of like a snooze fest. So I'm sorry.
I'm speaking as a Bama football fan, I'm right there with you, Oliver.
No disrespect to Cameron Norrie or to Paula Badosa, but if everybody was playing the way they're supposed to be playing, there's no way something like this would happen. But congratulations to both of you.
And congratulations to us, Oliver, for doing this show all by ourselves without any help whatsoever. Let's talk some opera.
It's season 7. It's supposed to be the best season yet of Opera Box Score.
Huddle up. Let's go inside the huddle.
So last week, I had the amazing privilege to talk to Charles Castronovo, and we recorded this interview. Actually, he did me such a solid and did my other show on WFMT, Listening to Singers. And we had used up, 60 minutes of our allotted 90 minutes working on that. and he had 30 minutes left, so he agreed to continue on and record this interview with me for Opera Box Score. And I had a whole punch list of things that I wanted to talk to him about, and I think I got through some of them. I'm not sure. I don't remember the interview anymore because he's just such
too dreamy.
He's a beautiful man. I'm not gonna lie. He's beautiful, but he's also such an incredible singer. And you'll remember that Matt Cummings and I talked about his Lenski that he did here in Chicago a couple years ago, and how it was probably the best singing that happened by a male that year. I think that was the same year that Sandra Radvanovsky sang Norma. So, but still, like, of all the male singing we heard that year, cis male singing, I guess. No, Charles Castronovo really left his mark with his performance of Lenski. And then he was just here in Chicago again doing Nemorino in Elixir of Love. And we talk about this. Like, it doesn't seem like a voice like his wants to sing Nemorino anymore. But he maintains that, the great tenors, Carlo Bergonzi, Luciano Pavarotti, even as they graduated into the more lirico spinto roles, they always tried to keep Nemorino in the repertoire just to make sure that they were singing healthy and could, it's such a great role. It's hilarious, and it's got, the very famous Una furtiva lagrima in it. So we're going to go to this interview. Another thing you should know about Charles Castronovo is that he is married to soprano Caterina Surina, and they have 2 children together. So we definitely talk about what is it like to juggle being internationally sought after opera stars and raising 2 children.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to talk to him about having survived COVID. That's sort of like a part of his story now. He sounds like $1 million, so I even forgot to mention it. But we're going to begin by listening to a little bit of Charlie, as he likes to be called, singing one of the arias from Un ballo in maschera. And this is a video that he posted in his personal Facebook after he was recovering from COVID, just to test to see how he was sounding. And as you can hear, he sounds like $1 million.
Sollecita esplorabili nell'ente io posso nel colmi la rabbia de venti l'amore sviarmi dal mar l'amor sviarmi dal mar l'amor sviarmi dal mar.
Charlie Castronovo is my guest on Opera Box Score. I can't believe it. We've been talking about you on this show for so long.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
my
nice.
my co-host Matt and I we declared that your Lenski, I forget how many years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago it was?
3 to 4 years ago, yeah.
It was the best singing at Lyric Opera House that year by a man.
Oh,
I think
that's
you were
really
competing
nice.
with Sandra Radvanovsky singing Norma or something like that. But
Yeah. Okay, it's a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was definitely the most like moving and authentic and just deluxe toned Lenski I've ever heard. And then I started saying, who is this guy? Like, how come I don't know what's going on with him? So I went back to my recordings and I saw that you had a Rossini Stabat Mater. I was like,
Oh my God, from like 9 million years ago.
that doesn't sound, is this the same guy?
Mhm.
I mean, clearly from the time you made that Rossini recording till the time I heard you singing in Onegin, some things have happened.
Yes.
And you're back here in Chicago, which is why we're able to get you as a guest. And you have one more performance of Elixir of Love. And by the time the audience hears this, you'll already be back in Europe or wherever you're going next.
Mhm.
But can we talk about why you're singing Nemorino right now? Not that I'm not happy about it. I'm actually thrilled that you are. But, is there a story as to why Nemorino at Lyric?
Yeah. Actually, the story is it was supposed to be Manon from Massenet. That was the scheduled opera that I was contracted for, actually with the same cast. So, but from what I understand, because of the COVID, craziness, it's a huge cast in Manon. Not only is it the 4, let's say, main principals, but there is a huge kind of smaller role cast, with very important roles. You got the 3. There's just a ton of them. So I think in the end they decided that it would be better to do something a bit more compact. And so they tried to find an opera that kind of just translated over with the same voice types that we had ready. Yeah. So they came up with Elixir, which, to be honest, at first I thought, oh God, Elixir, I haven't sung that in 6 or 7 years or something. I'm not sure I want to do that. And but my manager, Alan Green, we were talking. He said, "Hey, listen, Caruso and Bergonzi and Pavarotti, they all sang Nemorino well into the very end of their career." He said, "Maybe it's nice and healthy. It's good. It's a mix up from some of the other, let's say, more full things you're doing." And I thought, yeah, maybe you're right. I haven't been to America in a while. It would be nice. So in the end, I have to say, I've been having a ton of fun. It's been great. I was very pleased with myself that I was still able to sing it, very well. The fast parts are, let's say, a little tricky, but there's no coloratura, which would have been a no-go for me.
That thing goes by pretty fast.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of kind of pattery stuff, but I'm still able to do it. And the big problem with Nemorino is it's not that it's high; it's just that it sits in the passaggio the whole evening, nonstop, and you're on stage all the time. So you really have to be disciplined with your passaggio. So for me, it was like a test or a checkup to see if I've still got things in order. And so for me, it's been a very positive situation.
Well, I spoke to you recently for my other job, and we were talking about the role of Alfredo, which you have a recording of now. And so I'm just listening to your voice and thinking, oh, this guy is ready to sing, Ricardo in Masked Ball, or ready to sing Don Carlo. Yeah. Is that what's happening to you?
Yes, yeah. It's been a slow process. I've always been patient enough, even when I didn't feel like being patient. I was patient enough, adding roles slowly, taking calculated risks when I felt it was a good chance to do that. The first time I sang Edgardo in Lucia, for example, was in Brussels. It was a nice, relatively small opera house with a good acoustic. And I remember my manager, him and I do well together because he always thinks I can do things, a certain role, maybe 2 years before I think I can do it. So we sometimes find a happy medium, where it's, 1 year later, or sometimes we wait, or sometimes I think, maybe you're right. And I try it someplace small and I say, you were right. I can do that pretty well now. So we're going back and forth on this. But I remember with Edgardo, for example, he had offers for me for 2 to 3 years. And I kept saying, I don't feel it yet. I don't think so. He said, okay, fine. We'll wait. Finally, I did it. And, it was pretty good. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put it on hold for a couple of years. And we have a lot of respect for each other. Said, okay, fine. You feel you want to put it on hold? Let's do it. So we didn't do it again for about 2.5, 3 years. And when I did it the next time, of course, it was a lot better and I felt more secure and everything was getting better. So this has been my method for my career. Some calculated risks to stretch and grow, and then coming back, doing some, even popping in a couple Mozarts that I don't do very much anymore, but still every once in a while, and something like Nemorino. So that has afforded me to grow. I finally hit puberty, and now I'm starting to sing some, big, more manly roles.
Big boy roles. Yeah,
right, big boy roles. Yeah.
Huh. Well, that's a whole other topic which I wasn't prepared to talk with you about, so maybe we'll shelve it. But the idea of a manager who actually understands Fach and understands the progression of roles, and is also looking out for their artists to make sure that they're not doing something that they're not ready for.
Yeah, that is a whole other show I can imagine. But just as a quick note, there are some who know that, but usually it's the type who, first off, loves singers. Second off, is like a complete opera nerd. They have to really know the rep and the traditions of who sang those roles, because there are many roles where you can find everyone from a dramatic tenor to a lighter tenor, all successfully singing a certain type of role or a certain role, and so there are many examples. It depends on your cast. It depends on where it is. So yeah, to have a manager that really knows that stuff, it's a bit rare. So, but I think it's the singer's job to know that first, because if they know it and maybe the manager doesn't know as much, you can still navigate the right way, So it's on the singer's shoulders to really take care of that.
Good call, bad call on Opera Box Score.
Good call, bad call, and Opera Box Score. It's how we end things around here, even without George in charge. Oliver, what is your call for the day?
Well, Janine de Beek's CD is going to probably be out by the time you hear this episode. I think it's called Mirrors, but it's Baroque Arias CD, and I'm very excited about that, and we'll probably talk about that again after we get a chance to listen to it. But I'm going to, for once, maybe not once, for at least, it's rare that I promote something that's my own work, but Charlie was so good on Listening to Singers. It was really one of my favorite episodes of that show on WFMT, and you can hear it on the WFMT archives. You just go to WFMT.com and you look for the page for Listening to Singers, and then you could see the instructions for how to listen to previous shows. It'll only be in the archive for 2 weeks, so by the time you hear this, you better rush over and get to it. But he was such a fantastic guest, and we talk about the role of Alfredo, and he made me cry. I'm not even kidding you.
I have a little bit of what is probably a bad call, let's be real. On October 20th, Anna Netrebko will release her first cookbook. It will be in German only. And it's entitled, and forgive my pronunciation here, Der Geschmack meines Lebens, das erste Buch von Opern Topstar, Anna Netrebko, which I believe translates to The Taste of My Life, the first book from opera top star, Anna Netrebko, which, if there's anything that wasn't more written by Anna Netrebko, I mean, I'm sure that the recipes will be tasty. She posts pictures all the time on Instagram. I just hope it doesn't contain any of her bad takes. So we'll find out about that. I'll let you know. That is it for this week's edition of America's Talk radio show about opera. Our announcer is Norm Woodel, who can be found at normwoodel.com. On Facebook, search for Opera Box Score. On Twitter and Instagram, we're at Opera Box Score. Help us deepen our bench of listeners by liking and sharing our social media posts. Email us your hot takes at operaboxscore@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on Stitcher or just favorite our show on Apple Podcasts. Our creative consultant is Oliver Camacho. Our audio and video editor is me, Weston Williams. For our dreamy guest, Charles Castronovo, I'm Weston Williams, once again asking you to continue the conversation about opera with a WNBA trophy in your hand.
Go Sky.
We're back with an all-new show next week when it's our annual Halloween Spooktacular. Ooh. Plus, you get more opera headlines, more hot takes, and more Anna Netrebko recipes. Join us.